I'm Gaylene Xanthopoulos, founder and president of the Leadership Edge. For over 30 years, my team and I have had the absolute joy of accelerating the pace, performance, and cultures of the world's most innovative life science companies. During that time, we've seen companies move from research to discovery and then into development, and have watched many achieve their vision of bringing drugs, new medical devices, or diagnostics to patients, positively affecting their lives in huge ways. While partnering with these companies has provided many of our proudest and most meaningful moments, we've also been there through the most difficult times. Through the recession of 2008, the failed phase 2 or phase 3 clinical trials, and through the many other huge organizational challenges our clients face. Although we have all led through what have felt like monumental challenges, I think that many leaders are feeling that they've never faced challenges quite like those we're facing today. We're all making huge decisions in a time of tremendous uncertainty and when people are wanting direction, answers, and stability. Whether we're dealing with the pandemic or the horrific death of George Floyd, what I'd like to share with you is that you are ready and prepared to lead. It's time to lean into all of the learning and experiences you've had, because this is change management at its core. It feels different because we're being bombarded by the fastest rate and volume of change most of us have ever experienced in the case of the pandemic, and the lack of change as it relates to the death of George Floyd. From when the first COVID-19 case was confirmed in the states of Washington and California, over 30 government mandates went into effect in only 8 weeks in each of those states. These range from declaring a state of emergency to mandating social distancing, shelter at home, closing schools, shutting down athletics, both professional and amateur, and closing restaurants and bars. You are also managing the emotions and fears of your people as they face not only changes at work, but also feared for the safety of their parents or compromised neighbors. They became homeschool teachers and had to learn to live with their families and only their families 24/7. And on top of it, they either didn't have work or had to quickly adapt to doing everything virtually. Zoom became as much a part of our days as a morning cup of coffee. In the case of George Floyd, the world watched as a black man took his last breath at the hands of a uniformed police officer. For many, the feelings of helplessness, anger, frustration, and fear came to the surface, exacerbated by all of the uncertainty we were all already experiencing. The lack of change over the years led many to take to the streets in protest, sometimes peaceful and sometimes not, and left leaders reflecting on their own organizations and with huge questions about their own corporate cultures and the well-being of their people. People are searching for a leader they can trust. So there are 2 things I encourage you to think about. First, all you know as a leader managing through change or the lack of it. And second, all you know in terms of how people react to change. In terms of leadership, William Bridges created a model that very quickly and succinctly explains how we move through and manage transitions. I'd like to pull a couple of key ideas from his model. First, change is situational and happens without people transitioning. Second, transition is psychological and is a 3-phase process where people gradually accept the details of the new situation and the changes that come with it. Change is fast, transition is slow. I'd like to share his model with you. This model shows you how people move through the transition from the ending of what they had known, coming to work every day, sitting in meetings, collaborating in the lab, or believing that the world is a safe and fair place, facing all of the emotions of the change, including denial, shock, anger, frustration, stress, and finally ambivalence, until they reach the neutral zone. As we move from the neutral zone toward the new beginning, there is skepticism, acceptance, importance, hope, and eventually some enthusiasm. Throughout this process, trust in leadership is critical. It's incredibly important that as leaders we acknowledge the loss and respect the past. Empathy and validation of our people's experience and emotions is critical. Transparent and frequent communication is essential. Share the good and don't hide the bad. They're thinking about it anyway. They'll feel better to know that you are too. As clarity begins to reemerge, Work with your teams to create a vision of the new reality. The picture, purpose, plan, and their part in it. For many, this means conducting your most challenging exercise in contingency planning. But you do this every day. You explore questions like, which compound should we advance? Do we partner or not? Do we raise money now or later? Take those skills of dealing with uncertainty and contingency planning and apply them here and now. What will your new organization look like? How will you work? How will you create a safe place for everyone emotionally and physically? Identify where your organization is today. Are you between seeing your lives as you knew them ended and you're heading toward a neutral zone? Are you in that neutral zone? Or are you beginning to move toward that new beginning? Focus on what you can control. Eliminate as much uncertainty as possible. And remember, your people's trust in your leadership will get you through this. I hope you'll continue to join me as we build upon this video series of leading through uncertain times. In my next video, we'll take a deeper dive on managing change, and we'll further explore the 7 dynamics of change, positioning you to drive productive, meaningful, and useful change in a way that your people can quickly accept and adapt to. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Remember, we are here for you, by your side, as your trusted partner, as we've been for the past 30 years, and we will be for the next 30. Give us a call to explore these concepts or any others with us. We look forward to connecting with you.